Hello, hi. Thank you for coming to this talk on the future of play to earn. We have just had a great introduction, so I don't think I need to do it all over again. But yeah, so we're gonna just go into the inner depths of what it looks like when you have a population of people who are doing whatever task you have them doing in this specific situation. We have some great video game representation up here. And they're doing these tasks for the outcome of having fun playing the game, but also they're making money, and they're like in some instances, a livelihood based off of what they're doing inside of this game. So I want to start off there and take it to you and talk about what does it look like for Axie Infinity when you guys have success in a region like the Philippines, and it's just a direct population that immediately onboarded into this idea of play to earn. And how did it affect your growth and your roadmap in general?
Definitely. So our biggest demographic is the Philippines by a large margin. I think like 40% or so of our web traffic, at least, where we have some KYC, is from the Philippines. And Southeast Asia in general, Indonesia is number three. These are regions where the economic proposition of play to earn really makes a lot of sense, right? Making $20 or $30 USD in 4 or 5 hours of gameplay in these countries, that's a lot of money. That's more than minimum wage for a day's work in rural parts of the Philippines. And then you combine that with the high social media connectivity they have in the Philippines. There's a high kind of social order, I would say, where things spread very quickly. People are very plugged in, and there's a lot of gamer culture there. I come from the Dota 2 space. That's where I worked for the last 10 years. Dota is very popular there, and the Philippines has a lot of very, very try-hard competitive gamers. So that intersection, and plus the help of YGG, Gabby being there as kind of an evangelist, I think that also helped plant some seeds. But yeah, in these economies in developing countries where there's a big gap in that global purchase parity in terms of what they can do with their local currency, Axie has kind of hacked that system a little bit because we're purely digital, right? It doesn't cost anything to move Axies around. They're infinitely durable, and that kind of set up the backbone for our scholarships.
Yeah, and I think I mean we were all talking backstage, so I was hearing a little bit of what you were saying as well, and like how quickly it seems like for both of you, both at Ember Sword, but also at Axie Infinity, is like when people onboard into the games, it does seem to, from what looks like, they onboard into the world of crypto very quickly and very easily, and they're immediately able to kind of see the connections between these NFT representations and also value in their lives. And yes, feel free to speak to that and like what kind of growth you've seen as you've built out your platform at Ember Sword.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons we started this journey at Embersword, and obviously we're building an MMORPG, so it takes a little bit longer to get it all done. But one of the main reasonings behind it was we're also coming from a lot of esports, and Mark, one of our founders, he founded Nvidia and a bunch of other WoW guilds, and was like world champion for 2.5 years. But one of the things we saw was literally that they were facilitating transactions that were totally against the terms of service, by the way, like selling a single sword for a bloody $100,000 in WoW, and 2 days later, the people who sold it got banned, right? And the people who bought it got banned. Swords gone forever. And I think that's one of those things that is really important to kind of recognize is like online worlds have this intense ingrained value from the effort of the players that are partaking in them. And we've kind of walled it off. We shouldn't be doing that. And I think that's why they're also, so quickly adopting this notion of, hey, this is really neat. Like I can hop on board with this, I can own this. And now if, at some point later I want to monetize all this effort I put in, I can.
Gamers come from a world where they're used to paying for entertainment, right? You buy a game and then you're the product. You're the one that's putting up the money, and then that time is kind of a sunk cost to return, get some of that value that you've lost by paying up front. Play to earn switches that model completely on its head, or the whole essence of it is to reward players for their attention in the ecosystem. As a game developer, what do we want the most? We want people that care about our game, care about improving at the game, and care about building a really powerful community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to this point, like gamers identifying with even just like the format of play to earn and to get these value items. Um, I mean, Simone, you're coming from a investor background, and I think we were all backstage kind of discussing the concept of average customer cost and how in in play to earn, it's actually like what is your average customer revenue, but the same can be said for freemium gaming as well. And so Simone, and like you're investing in crypto projects across the board. Why does it seem that a lot of the deal flow I see you involved in is gaming companies?
So, yeah, the deal flow regarding gaming. Sorry for the voice, first of all. I lost it at Manpool yesterday, so it's. Anyway, regarding
Yeah,
the deal flow.
all of our voices are a little bit hoarse after last night, and I think you're totally not alone.
Thanks. So, regarding the deal flow, I will say that it changed a lot during the last months. Right now, we are in the average of 80% of deals that we are seeing every week in gaming. But I mean, we were chatting before that even if it's like 80% of the creep of the deals in gaming, I don't feel that we are like close to a bubble or something like that. Because if you think about the gamers, the crypto gamers that are right now today in the market, they are approximately, let's say, let's consider as players, for example, the Axie Infinity players, daily average users, they have 2 million. So they just broke 2 million 2 weeks ago. That is 0.1% of the entire gaming industry,
Yeah.
of the entire gamers community. So if you compare this number, for example, with the DeFi number, let's say in the world there are approximately 12 million traders, and in the DeFi today there are 0.5% of this. So it's like the same path, but with some delay that you're seeing in the gaming.
And I think like with GameFi, at least with Axie, we're starting to see like the gamification of learning about blockchain, and that's really one of the really value propositions we have with Axie that is extending beyond the gameplay. Like we're bringing new people into the Ethereum and blockchain ecosystem, and a lot of them are, they come for the play to earn, they stay for the game, and then they really stay for the education that comes with understanding DeFi, buying other tokens, and getting plugged into the global economy. Like 50% of Axie's 2 million daily active users are brand new to blockchain. They only learned about blockchain because they were motivated to learn Axie and become part of a scholarship or a guild or whatever else. So that's that's a big deal. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone else has figured out how to make blockchain fun for outsiders.
Yeah, no. Exactly, that's it. I think, it really speaks volumes, even when we're doing something like a community land sale, that we've got people coming in, and the vast majority of them has never even made a crypto wallet, right? People, a lot of times people ask us this question, like, how many of these people are like, people speculating on crypto, and how many are actual gamers? And we did a community sale, so we actually have the stats, and we can tell them like 80% of these people are like gaming guilds, multi-gaming guilds, folks that actually, they're not even playing a blockchain game right now. They're playing like Albion Online, and they're migrating their like 5,000 people guild to Ember once it goes live. And so there's really this appeal to the gaming community that understands that the value that you're generating now becomes yours. And I mean, like the simplest example to that is, obviously we come from the World of Warcraft background as one of those things. And there you've got like tens of thousands of guild leaders creating awesome experiences for hundreds of people each, right? And
Yeah.
outside of a few YouTubers and Twitch streamers, no one is getting any value back for 40 hours a week of time invested. And you just see that these guys immediately get the notion of, wow, that's really nice. Like if we make sure that people have an amazing time in this game, now in turn there's also a model that works for us, and and it's fully digital, and we're digitally native. We're like that already. Like bring it on, right?
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
and I think also that this play to earn, it's a massive marketing instrument that games developers have today, because at the end play to earn is based on two elements. If we want to summarize, like a cool game with a design economy that works, a token economy that works. And if you have like only the game without the token economy, it means that you are like in the blue ocean and you are competing with all of the others, and it's really hard, extremely hard, so competitive. If you have only the token and you don't have the game, it's gonna be like a mercenary effect. So a lot of gamers initially, when the rewards are going to hand, it's over. But if you have both of them, so that is the key of the success. And for example, what we are seeing that is happening in the Philippines is, in my opinion, is one of the best revolution that crypto like brought to the world, and the possibility to give to people to like earn the same money of the daily rate that they have, like $12, for example, in Philippines, just playing like 2 hours per day with a game, is,
It's
in
your
my opinion,
livelihood.
is unbelievable like revolution that we are going
Well,
through.
so that I do want to ask this question because that's kind of where I was going to steer it with the livelihood side of things, where now someone is playing this game and it actually is potentially a part of their livelihood. Well, now we are seeing the earliest forms of NFT games with play to earn, but we've also already seen, like you were talking about, the market for gaming and how we're in such a small sliver. The market for mobile games has gone like into exponential growth in the last like 10 years, right? And so you're seeing them taking over the revenue through freemium gaming. So where does that leave mobile gaming platforms or mobile gaming platforms with NFTs like built in? Where do you see the gaming industry headed? Do you see that as something you're interested in for doing like mobile stuff in the Philippines, a community that's very much on mobile phones?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right that it's a balance of having a good game and also a very functional economy that works for the players. It doesn't really work without both sides of the equation. That is the essence of play to earn. For us, though, we do really strongly echo that it is a game first. Ultimately, that's what drives the value. And we are starting to have that discussion where now with 2 million daily active users, you do have some users that come in purely for the play to earn aspect, purely because it's a means for them to earn. And what does that mean for the system? You know, we're still in alpha, so we still have things to deploy. We still have things to change. We're all taking part in this live experiment, so that gets a little scary. Some people seem to think that, okay, now that you've hit this critical mass, drop in the bucket from our perspective of what the addressable market is, but a lot of people seem to think, okay, you hit 2 million active or daily active users, that means you're not an alpha anymore. You're a real game, and that means you're immutable. You can't change stuff because you have to protect my investment. And obviously, we don't want to ruin anyone's investment, but we don't see it that way. It's a game first. The integrity of the game is number one. And if you don't have a game that's fun to play, that people care about and care about getting better at, then the economy isn't really worth that much anyway.
Well, yeah, because you're essentially trading in the currency of attention. You're like, I don't want to trade like in a negative manner for the currency of your attention. And you were talking a little bit about this backstage as well, which is like the people that are bought into like crypto games that are coming from even like the crypto side of things. You get to go back to people who are investors and say, like, oh, I'm going to continue to do this because the people that are in my community are here for a number of reasons. Some of them are very monetary, but in reality, they like my game, and so it's an interesting argument to have as opposed to like game designers historically have had to capitulate overall.
I have a question about Ember Sword because you guys are making an MMORPG. You've mentioned twice now to me that it takes a long time to build a game like that, right? Like a decade is not an unreasonable amount of time to build a full-fledged, tier one MMO. How do you handle that with the speed at which cryptocurrency moves? Because
Yeah.
we move really fast in this space. So do you worry about like getting left behind or like the tech that you're building on? Is it future-proof? Like how do you tackle all that kind of stuff with such drastic timeline differences?
Yeah, I think we've coming from a very early start, way before the whole crypto winter hit. Sort of, we've had some time to think this over and go through this and buckle down and build, rather than looking too much outside and what valuations are looking like. So it certainly helped us, and I know it helped you guys at Axie a lot too. I think it's sort of the fire that purifies what goes on.
It's seriously hard now. If you launch a game and it's really good, it's genuinely good, you still attract all these mercenaries now because crypto and NFTs are popping off so hard. I actually think it's such a blessing to be born in a bear market because you get to build this community of people that actually care because the prospects aren't that big.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree. So I think part of it is community and building the right community and having the right expectations. And you can see, like, we're building an MMO. We've, of course, made some choices that help make it more manageable. Like, if all of our items were purely focused 100% around utility and collectibles were that, et cetera, it would be a lot tougher because you make balancing decisions in MMO and suddenly this NFT you bought for who knows what is no longer as valuable anymore. We know that like literally the largest segment of the whole gaming market is cosmetics and skins and things like that. So we intentionally put the focus there. That helped a lot, right? And beyond that, it's also about sort of expectation management and working with your community and showing, like you guys have done, like, we're saying we're going into pre-alpha, we're going into alpha, we're going to be releasing bits of the world as we go, we're going to continue incrementally bringing in functionality. And you see when you have that approach to it, like sometimes I have to explain to people that it's kind of like early access on steroids, right? It's like, you've seen this movement. People love it when game developers share and let you experience what it's like to build the product. We're doing that, but just, for a much bigger game. I think, that's a little scary, but it's also extremely exciting, and we're getting lots of great feedback on it.
And I think that one point really important related to this one is the importance of the DAO that they are going to have in the future. So right now there are few DAOs, but are increasing in terms of numbers and in terms of like number of scholars dramatically every day. So it's like booming DAO. And there are like, for example, some projects like YGG or other DAOs coming up that they are going to be really active in the games. They are going like to, I see the DAO as sort of like mid between the, let's say, the e-games team and the labor unions, so something that, let's say, fight for the rights for the scholars, but at the same time want to find a deal with the game to have a right and a fair incentivations for the gamers. And the DAO structure that they are going to have right now with the sub DAO, I think this is really an interesting experiment. We are seeing a lot of innovation in the future on this, and they will be one of the main stakeholders that you guys, are facing over the time, right?
Yeah, like everything is community in this space. And it's really, really great to see that. Like, Gabby and Yield are a really great example, but many other gaming guilds too. They're getting into this space and they're committing to these games that they believe in the future of, and they believe that, for their player base, that'll generate value. And they're bringing literally hundreds of thousands of players to the table. And it's just like one thing we had our community land sale, and there was one particular guild that, that made it in the rankings to buy a city. And I remember just, like just a couple of days ago, I got a message from the guy who runs that guild saying like, we are celebrating today, like the purchase of our city. But more importantly, the fact that we got a lot of this city allowed us to land $2 million in additional investment that we'd like to now put like half off towards tokens because we want to have the tokens to start building our economy in the game as the next stage. And that is so amazing when you can see that it starts spinning up this massive economy where everyone is benefiting. I think
Yeah.
that's
I think it's
super
great.
cool.
I think we have to wrap this up, but I do love that you guys are also like each other's biggest fans. Like you're both doing game plays, but yeah, what have you got to go into your place? What have you got? But thank you so much. I mean, we're just kicking off the creator economy track, so I'm gonna hand it back off. But thank you to everyone, and thank you to all you for being out here as we talk
Thank you.
about gaming.
Thank you.
Thank
It's a pleasure.
you.